Hi, Catherine Kyle here from greenthickies.com. Today is day 24 of the Leaf System 28-day challenge, and today I wanted to share something with you that I've noticed about my sleeping. It has been a bit strange since I started the challenge, and it is summer here in Scotland, and in summer, I mean, this was a lot worse when we used to live north of where we were. When we were North Scotland, there were certain periods at this time of year in summer where it just wouldn't really get dark at all, so you really had to have really good blackout blinds or curtains to give you any amount of sleep. But we're a little bit further south, but we're still in Scotland and we still do have crazy light weather at this time of year in the summer, so our blackout curtains are not the best. They block out some of the light, but at 3 o'clock in the morning it is light, and I've noticed that I've been getting to sleep really fast. This doesn't happen every night, it seems to happen every few nights or every other night, and it also depends on other things as well, but something will wake me up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, there's lots of things that wake me up. My husband might be snoring. We live on a flight path. We didn't when we moved into this house, but they've changed the flight path and it is directly over our house, and it is really close to the airport. It is so noisy, so there are planes just flying every 2 minutes throughout the day, and it is deafening. You might have noticed on some of the videos, but it depends whether I've got the windows open. But it's been quite hot lately, so I've had the windows open and it's been really noisy. So I've been waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's been light, and then whenever it's light, my brain always kicks right into action and says, it's morning, wake up. And I'm a morning person, so I'm one of these people. I might be one of these annoying people if you're not a morning person, but as soon as I'm awake, yay, let's start the day, woohoo. Jump out of bed, go downstairs, get started on the day. So that's what my brain is doing at 3 o'clock in the morning, because it's light and I'm awake. So I've been getting not very much sleep lately. Every few days or every other day, I have been getting very bad night's sleep, maybe just a few hours of sleep. But what is the interesting thing that I've noticed is I have not been feeling too bad on such a little amount of sleep, and I know it's because of my diet, because it happens every single time I go on a detox or I eat really clean, I don't eat any junk food, that I can cope on such a lower amount of sleep than I normally do. And this is great because I have lasted, full days with my kids. I've not been exhausted after just having 3 hours of sleep. I've been getting up early and starting work. I've been more productive. I've been getting more done than I normally have done, and not feeling bad for it. And then the next night I sleep a lot better because I've needed more sleep. So I think it's a real plus being on this kind of diet, because you don't need anywhere near amount of sleep and you're so much more alert anyway. So that's just one thing I wanted to share with you, and today what I wanted to talk about is how much food should you eat at every meal. Now, you know that famous saying, which is breakfast like a king, dine like a queen, and supper like a pauper, or something like that. There's lots of different variations, but basically what it's trying to say is the healthiest way to live is to get up and eat a really big breakfast, then eat a medium-sized lunch and eat a very small dinner. And the reason is because you need most of the energy throughout the day when you're up and active, so that makes more sense to have most of your calories first thing in the morning. And then you don't want to be going to bed on a really heavy, full stomach, because that's going to interrupt your sleeping, so you have a lighter dinner and then that sees you through the night. And I do agree with the principles of that way of eating. If you're eating a standard diet, that makes a lot of sense to me. But if we're talking about detoxing, we're talking about really healthy, clean eating, then to me, I don't agree with that at all. I don't think that you need to eat like that in the slightest, and I've proved it to myself. Since I started eating clean food and really cleaned up my diet, I have completely changed how much food I eat at every meal. I used to wake up, like before I even got into healthy eating, I used to wake up with such low blood sugar. I always woke up feeling like I was going to faint. I used to wake up feeling sick. like I was going to pass out, and the first thing I had to do every morning was eat. I didn't care what else was going on, I had to have a bite to eat, and sometimes I used to have food right next to me, next to my bed, because it was that bad. And I would maybe have a really big breakfast, and probably I would just continue to eat throughout the day, and I would also snack on something before I went to sleep, because I always had such low blood sugar that I just couldn't last at all. I had to snack in between all of my meals. I always got so starving, I felt like I was going to pass out just before I ate my meals. I got really hungry and angry, and just couldn't cope with the lack of food. If I got hungry, it was like a light switch. I just had to eat that second, otherwise, you know, I was feeling like I was going to faint. So that's how I used to eat, and now I have noticed a completely different pattern. When you clear out all the junk, your body can finally function as it's supposed to function, and detoxing and fasting from food is actually really good for your body to give it a break, and you can actually function really well depending on what nutrients you've put into your body at other periods of the day. So if you put lots of nutrients into your body throughout the day, then you can go a lot longer between meals and still feel absolutely great. And especially if you've got fat stores, like I still have fat in my body to lose, and my body is using those fat stores to burn fuel, which is why we can get away with eating less calories than we burn when we're on a diet, because we have those fat stores to keep us going. So what I've noticed now, the way I eat is completely different. When I wake up in the morning, I am not hungry in the slightest, which is absolutely amazing for me. And I have my supplements in the morning, which I'm going to be sharing what supplements I take in the next couple of videos. I take my supplements, and I have a glass of celery juice, which, as we all know about celery, hardly contains any calories whatsoever, but the combination of things that I do first thing in the morning, it completely sets me up for the whole morning. So I don't consume any calories all morning long. I am literally not hungry. And people always say, you know, they say it to kids at school, you can't go to school without a good breakfast. And yes, I wouldn't send my kids to school without having a breakfast, but for me personally, I am not hungry. I know that I've got a little bit of weight to lose, and I know that I can feel absolutely amazing in the whole morning. My energy has never been better. I walk on my treadmill all morning long. I do a workout first thing in the morning, a short workout for 15 minutes. I don't have any energy slumps whatsoever. My clarity is really good. I can focus on my work. I focus maybe a bit too well on my work because I get so involved in it that sometimes I forget to take breaks. And I have just never felt better in my entire life. And I literally don't get hungry until about 12, sometimes even 1 in the afternoon, and that's when I have my first green thickie. So I have my breakfast a lot later, and I tend to eat one green thickie round about lunchtime. I have another one possibly round about 4 or 5 o'clock, maybe around the time just before I pick my kids up, or just when my kids are getting home, because I've noticed I get tempted with their food a lot of the time. So if I'm hungry, I need to just have my own food by the side of me so I don't get tempted by theirs. And then I will have a proper, well, I'll say a proper sit down meal. Lately it's been salads, but in the winter it would be a cooked meal, and I have that when I sit down with my husband in the evening, possibly around 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30, sometimes even 9 o'clock in the evening. And that's quite a late dinner for some people, but for me, I often stay up quite late, maybe until midnight, because like I said, I just don't need that much sleep these days, and that is wonderful for me because I get so much more out of my day. So I spread out my meals that way. So that's how I break down my meals, and that works for me perfectly. You might find something different that works differently for you. If you're coming straight off a standard diet, then yes, you definitely will probably need to eat first thing in the morning, get those healthy nutrients in, and give it a couple of weeks before you even start to recognize what your body is telling you, the signals that your body is telling you when you're hungry and when you're not hungry. So I still stick to a calorie counted diet with the Leaf system, but I just eat at the times that work best for me in the day. And you might go to bed really early. So if you go to bed at 10 o'clock in the evening, you might want to have an early dinner, and therefore you would want to have an earlier breakfast in the morning. So I don't agree with the breakfast like a king. I don't think we need to do that. I think that what happens as well if we have really massive meals is that it stretches our stomach and makes us feel more hungry for the next meal. So I think just eat exactly the right amount, so you're not absolutely stuffed, but you've just got enough fuel to keep you going until your next meal. So, and when we're losing weight, that has to be very slightly less than you need to maintain your weight. It has to be enough to lower your weight. So when you've got used to this way of eating, then you will recognise the portion sizes that you need, and hopefully you'll get into a pattern that works well for you. And I would love to know if you can post in the Facebook group. Let me know what your pattern of eating is like. I'm really curious. Do you eat your fixed meals at normal meal times, or do you breakfast like a king, or do you switch your meals around? Some people I know have their salads for breakfast and they have a green thickie for dinner, and whatever works for you, I would love to hear about it. And I will speak to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.